Thank you for joining us for the Pink Cooking Party presented to you by the Baptist Health System and Baptist M&S Imaging. We're very excited to do our second cookie segment with Chef Johnny Hernandez. We appreciate your time this evening, Chef Johnny.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. And we still have people rolling in, so we're excited to see everyone coming in to participate. We're scheduled for about an hour. Sometimes we run a little bit over, so if you guys need to hop off, that's fine. If you can stay with us, please do. We may be doing a few anonymous polls with our audience as we go through the evening. So thanks again for joining us. My name is Mary Worth. I work in marketing with the Baptist Health System. I want to recognize the team behind the scenes, Marielle, Charissa, Kate. They're the wizards behind the curtain that make it all happen, so we appreciate their hard work. And of course, Chef Johnny and his team as well. Joining me this evening is Marien Apellaniz. She's our Baptist Health System Registered Dietitian. She will help provide insight. Hi, Marien, how are you? You're on mute, just so you know. She will help get some insight into some of the questions you may have regarding food substitutions, and she'll share her knowledge on nutritional value of certain foods as we move along. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're excited to partner with Chef Johnny and bring to you a pink cooking party to help raise awareness for breast cancer. So Chef has developed some recipes to keep with the pink theme, so both in food and potentially some drink, right, Chef Johnny?
Yep, that's what we have ready.
I wanted to take this opportunity real quick to remind people to schedule your mammogram if you haven't already. And I'm going to try and do a poll right now to kind of gauge our audience on information on mammograms. So it's a CDC stat that we wanted to ask about. Marielle, can you pull up the poll? Here we go. What percentage of breast cancer occurs in women with no history of breast cancer? This is an anonymous poll. Okay, I'm going to keep moving along as y'all answer that question to the poll. Mary, I'm not sure that the poll is working, so we can take it down. Thank you so much, though. I wanted to let you know in a few weeks, we'll be providing, actually tomorrow, we'll be sending a follow-up email to this event with resources for doctors as well as mammogram locations for you. In a few weeks, we'll be provided the link to this live video segment as well as the recipes if you did not receive them prior to this event. A little bit about our cancer program at the Baptist Health System. Our goal as a system is to provide cancer care for patients here in their own community. One of the biggest things we have and that we're proud of is our nurse navigators who meet the patients where they are, whether that be in person, on a video call, pre-treatment, post-treatment, whatever that looks like for them. They create a trusting relationship with that patient to help them navigate this difficult time. They also assist those to break down barriers in care by providing community resources that might help them. I'm sure you all want to get started, so just a few house rules, or encouragements actually. We highly encourage questions from the audience. Please use the Q&A box for those. We'll get to as many as we can. We have quite a few people joining us, so we'll try and work those in as we can. It is my honor this evening to introduce Chef Johnny Hernandez. In case you don't know, I think everyone does know, he is one of the premier Mexican chefs in the United States, recognized as an authority on Mexican cuisine and culture. He's received acclaim in publications such as Texas Monthly, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, Martha Stewart Living, and Southern Living, just to name a few. He was featured as a guest on Cooking Channel and Bravo shows. He's recognized by Hispanic Business Magazine as one of the top 50 influential Hispanics, and by Siempre Mujer magazine as one of the top 5 Hispanic chefs in America. Congratulations, Chef Johnny. We're so proud to have you in our city. And Chef Johnny has also showcased his culinary expertise at the White House as the guest chef to President Barack Obama. Before I hand it over to Chef Johnny, something that might help him, can we do a poll on the cooking to see who might be cooking alongside Chef Johnny tonight? Hopefully we can get the poll to work. It's an anonymous poll. If you can let us know if you'll be cooking along with Chef Johnny, that would be wonderful. I think we're going to stop doing polls because they're not working, but, but we'll take our time. We will take our time. Oh, here we go. We got a response. Yay. So about 15% will be cooking alongside you. The rest have the recipe, Chef Johnny. So this is something they may do after the event and cook their wonderful recipes. I know your team. I wanted to ask you just a little about your new ventures. I've been reading a lot. If you're able to share, I know that you have a La Gloria
Sure.
at Brooks. I know
Right.
you celebrated your 10-year anniversary at the Dominion location. And you just
Right.
lots of things happening. So whatever you can share. And I read something about Tesla in Austin too. So if you'd like to share, we'd love to hear it.
Well, you know, we've been.
I want another one of you. I don't know how you do all this.
We've been staying pretty busy, but I think definitely the highlights are Tesla was a project that we took on to really keep the wheels turning of our company, just like the grocery store, just like the margarita trucks and now food trucks. You know, so we have trucks on the road now every day, either doing events or selling margaritas or doing, you know, tacos and, you know, all different kinds of food that we take now to neighborhoods and events. So, you know, some of those things have continued, you know, through the pandemic, just to help support the, you know, the entire company and keep the team working and employees working. But the highlights are definitely Brooks. We were excited to open there on the south side, and you know, we are there on that same site. We're going to open up a machito, which is a
wonderful
concept that I had in the quarry for a few years, that we're moving to the south side, so that our hope is that we can open on the south side there with La Gloria in the early part of next year, and then the machito, you know, somewhere mid-spring or before summer, do the grill concept there on that same site at Brooks, there off of Military. Beautiful site, right? It's just a gorgeous site. I can't wait to get back there. I haven't been there in a couple of weeks, but all, you know, it's coming together. So
wonderful.
can't wait.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think we're also working on with the city at La Vita. You know, that's a really special project that we're slowly beginning to move forward. There's a lot of excavation that's happening at La Vita right there on Maverick Plaza. That's a very special project we're working on with the city to create a culinary concept that would, you know, help all the businesses that are there at La Vita and bring a lot of locals and visitors to that historical site. So you'll begin to hear some of that. And right now it's all about Day of the Dead. And,
yes, so tell me a little bit. I know you're part of that, a big event or parade, actually. So tell me a little bit. I'm sure we'd love to hear it.
You know, my grandparents are from Michoacan on my mom's side, from Michoacan, Mexico, where Day of the Dead really is celebrated in a very, you know, still in a very authentic way. Its origins are from Central Mexico. So it's a beautiful experience if you ever get to you know, the privilege of celebrating down in Central Mexico and Michoacan. But we have 3 years ago, this is our third year. Last year we did it virtually. We did a Day of the Dead River Parade. But
we all did virtually last year, Chef John.
Yes.
We're happy to be back.
No, we have some visitors we have viewers this year, which is exciting. We have limited tickets. So, you know, make sure you get your tickets early if you want to come to the parade. It will be on October 29th. It starts at 7:30, and depending on where you are seated on the river, you know, starts at 7:30 over here, kind of like by IBC Bank and the Weston Center, and then kind of winds its way, you know, through the Arneson and through the entire river walk. And it's going to be a beautiful display of different themes related to Day of the Dead, but also some iconic kind of Mexican artesanías, and, you know, there's a really cool luchador barge that I love. But it is, you know, but the whole celebration is wanting to raise awareness of this cultural celebration, because Day of the Dead is a UNESCO celebration of humanity. So in 2003, it was designated by UNESCO to preserve that tradition. And it is a beautiful tradition of just remembering and honoring those that we've lost. So obviously during COVID last year, we honored a lot of the, you know, the first responders and frontline workers. And this year, you know, it's no different. We're you know, really trying to educate and share the beautiful history behind Day of the Dead. So we are, the big parade is on Friday night, October 29th, and then Saturday we're going to have, you know, calaveras. There's like a calavera collection that we put out throughout downtown San Antonio where that are painted by local artists. And then we're going to have a grand altar there at La Villita, you know, for that week leading into Day of the Dead. So make sure you look for us. We have a lot of activations, obviously, throughout our restaurants, you know, La Gloria, Burgerteca, Fruteria. And I don't know if you've been to the Fruteria, we just renovated the Fruteria Botanero, right? So it's our restaurant that's on Flores, on South Flores. Yes. So it's a Botanero by night. So we reopened the evening portion of that restaurant as a Botanero. So that's the focus is small plates and cocktails. So I invite everybody to that concept, that restaurant. We were closed for about 8 months to renovate, and we finally got it open about a month and a half ago. I don't know, it goes fast. It might have been 3 months by now, but
I've seen the wonderful new drink concoctions.
Yes,
they look fun.
So yeah, so today is you know, I got a couple special recipes, and I'll dive in. Those of you that are cooking along, it may be a little tricky to keep up because, you know, anything that says mole, like for instance, this dish we're making today, and I know we're having a lot of fun incorporating pink into the whole recipe, but the anytime you're making a mole, and this is a fresh mole, a fresh chilies, it's difficult to incorporate that into a 30-minute or 40-minute presentation. Moles are things that require a lot of time, slow simmering, toasting of ingredients, careful, you know, precision, you know. So I'm gonna kind of run through this thing kind of in a faster way than we normally would when you're making a mole. And but we're making today some quesadillas that are on our Fruteria menu, and they're filled with shiitake mushrooms and onions and garlic. And we have some, of course, some masa that is pink that we're gonna put these quesadillas in. And just a quick piece of food knowledge from Mexico. So quesadillas in Mexico, in central Mexico, are made kind of like what we would call an empanada, right? When you see it, you're gonna say, well, that's an empanada. But many years ago, as I traveled through Mexico, I was in central Mexico, and there was a stand that said quesadillas. So, you know, so I go up to the stand and I'm kind of looking to the ingredients. And, you know, we in San Antonio and in America, when you order a quesadilla, it's something that is made with a pre-made tortilla, right? It's heated, it's folded with cheese, and then put on a griddle and toasted. And that's what all of us know as quesadillas. Well, quesadillas in Mexico are made with fresh masa. So we're gonna make it in, you know, kind of like in a little press. All right, so we'll press out our quesadillas, and we're gonna pan fry them. And but it's the most authentic way to eat a quesadilla. They're very popular at our Fruteria Botanero. And then you know, with a quesadilla, you need a sauce, right? Moles are if you travel down into central Mexico, moles aren't always, you know, over a protein. Sometimes they're just if you go to Oaxaca, they have moles on the table as salsas, you know, because a mole is just, again, it's a salsa in a sense because it has chilies, it has spices, it may have some aromatics, you know, some have chocolate, some do not, some are sweet, some are more spicy and savory. This mole that we're making that has pistachios and roasted pineapple has some sweetness, and we're adding a little bit of, maybe of Jamaica to paint it a pink color for you. So we're gonna give that a shot. I didn't have a whole lot of time to practice because we've been really busy.
Well, I think you just got back from New York from a
Yes, it was amazing. Yeah, we were celebrating our 75th anniversary at the Culinary Institute of America. And we were there with a lot of great friends, and I serve on the board there, and it is such a special place. So it's nice to go back and be with the students, encourage them. We raised our alumni board raised a lot of money. The school and it's a collaborative effort. We gave away a lot of scholarships to very needy students, but it's amazing to go back and always see the progress and see how it's grown and how it's developed and how it continues to grow as in pace. I mean, some people will say in pace, but I think that as the school, we want to stay ahead of the industry because obviously we are the leader in culinary education. So we have to stay a few steps in front of industry. So it's amazing to see. I was in a lab working with some students, and it was a science lab. And I was asking them all sorts of questions about, the effect of sauces and cooling ingredients and thickness and, stabilizers. It's a science. And we've done a lot of that because some of you may know we have a retail line at HEB now that started during the pandemic. And so we're in about 25 stores. So we have our enchiladas and taco kits, and we have a rice bowl and some quesadillas. So we've been busy. And
chicken tinga. I think chicken.
Yes, chicken tinga. Yes. So let me get started because there are people that need to get started, and there's and it'll be over before I start. But let me so really quick. I'm going to show you how to make the filling first, right? The filling for our quesadilla, and then we'll quickly at the same time I'm going to make the mole. Okay. Both of them require some cooking time, so I will. We'll start any mole that you're gonna make. You're gonna need onions, you're gonna need garlic, you're gonna need chilies, spices. I mean, this particular mole, I don't know who has been to the fruteria. Our fruteria, we used to have a mole on the menu called mole blanco, and the mole blanco was a favorite, and I wanted to create something different, right? For our, for our fans, for our customers. And I invented or created a new mole with pineapple and pistachios. All right, so it's gonna require some onions. All right, so we have some fresh garlic cloves. I'm gonna slice these garlic cloves here. And I'm gonna need, I'm gonna need a little bit of onions and garlic for our mushroom filling. So I'm gonna do both of the onion and garlic at the same time. Okay. So if you're trying to follow along, I have two pans on the stove, one for my mole and one for my quesadilla. Okay, the filling for my quesadilla. And I actually also have a pot on the stove for the deep frying or for the pan frying of the quesadilla. So I'll do a little bit more garlic. And moles, some people talk about, they ask me questions about moles, and if you travel into Mexico and you have moles, the most famous moles come from Puebla, Veracruz, Oaxaca for sure, right? So
I'm familiar with the brown mole, Chef Johnny, that incorporates like the chocolates.
Yeah, yes. So I mean, definitely, I think that some of the more famous and or more recognized moles, are the darker variety, right? That have dried chilies, right? Dry anchos, dry pasillas, even some chile guajillos, and if you're down in Oaxaca, there's different types of pasillas and chile chihuahuas that are from that region. We're going to today's sauce, today's mole sauce. I'm adding some jalapeno. Sometimes we'll do a little bit of habanero if you want a little bit more heat. Again, you're looking for spice at the end of the day, and this recipe is made with fresh chilies versus let's say the dried chilies. So I'm going to saute the onions. So first for the mushrooms, okay? I'm gonna cook down the onions just a little bit. Get these going. And the onions, are take a little bit longer to cook than the garlic because I sliced it, okay? All right, so I got those on a low flame. And if you're not familiar with shiitake mushrooms, these are shiitake mushrooms. You could use button mushrooms if you wanted to. I love shiitake mushrooms because they have a great intense flavor. And we're gonna saute these with a little bit of onions and garlic. I have a little bit of white wine. I'd probably
I'll say real quick. I actually really like that you're using mushrooms in Breast Cancer Awareness Month because they actually have selenium, and selenium is something that it's an antioxidant, and it is actually specifically recommended to increase our intake of selenium for breast cancer prevention. So
excellent.
So very.
Well, this is I love mushrooms. This is definitely one of my favorite mushrooms. It has and they're actually pretty easy to find, you know, shiitake mushrooms, and they have just a wonderful, intense flavor. Okay, so I thinly slice them. Okay, now our onions are going. I'm gonna let them go a little bit longer, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to let me move this up here, get out of the way. I want to get our salsa started for our mole. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Johnny,
Yes.
we have a question that came in from one of our participants, and they're asking, when I cook with shiitake mushrooms, they're always chewy. Is there a way to prevent that?
Chewy. Well, you're not. I hope you're not eating the stems. No, I'm just kidding. But it is. It is a.
Is it a tougher mushroom, maybe?
It is a tougher mushroom.
Okay.
It does have a lot of texture to it. That's maybe why I like it so much. Okay, because I love texture. Now, I guess my recommendation, if you notice, if you slice it thin, that helps. Because I think if you go to like an Asian restaurant, a lot of times they serve them whole.
Right.
They're maybe smaller, they're larger, but they do have a lot of texture to them. But I think, I mean, again, that's one of the reasons why I think I enjoy them, because of that texture. But I think if you chiffonade them or if you slice them thinly, you're going to be able to enjoy them. You're going to enjoy that intense mushroom flavor a lot more without the, because they do. It's kind of interesting. They are a little tougher, or I hate to say rubbery, but they kind of have a little, like a little bit of a tougher texture bounce to them, right? So yes. We're going to add some sliced garlic, and then we'll add the shiitakes, okay? Right into this pan. So we're going to continue to saute these. I'm going to add now a little bit of heat. So, I jumped out. So we'll let these cook down. We have our onions sauteing here. So just begin to saute those. I'm going to raise a little bit more heat. So then I'm going to add to our mole, we're going to add some of this garlic. I have peppers and a couple tomatillos, okay? And for today's recipe, I am going to, I'm going to cut these in quarters just to move them along a little faster.
Okay.
Because we will run out of time. If I enjoy, when you're preparing a mole, I really like to take our time, but for the sake of today's presentation, I'm going to quarter those. Okay, so all I'm using is a little bit of vegetable oil. Okay, in these preparations. So if you see me kind of reaching back here for oil, that's what I'm reaching for. I need to lower that a little bit.
And which one are you using? Is it canola oil, or which one are you using?
Just a canola oil. Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is actually the oil that we recommend to cook with. So it's the healthiest oil you can choose.
It looks like you and I are just coordinating everything so
we're
well.
Doing great today. Yes, exactly. Yes. So a lot of people think that it's the healthiest to cook with olive oil. And I know that it became a fad for a while to cook with coconut oil. We actually never, if anybody hasn't, we actually don't want to use coconut oil ever. That has a lot of saturated fats. And if we heat olive oil too much, then we actually change the chemical construct of it, and it can become a little bit more similar to trans fat. So actually cooking with canola oil is the healthiest one that we can use. And if you see it at the grocery store, it will usually say heart healthy. So going for the things that are heart healthy and things like that. Not only that, but in breast cancer awareness, one of the things that we recommend just in terms to prevent cancer, not just breast cancer, but cancers in general, is that you want to decrease anything that would cause any sort of systemic inflammation in your body. The oil that we cook with is very important. So if we increase our bad fats, right, our saturated fats, that increases systemic inflammation. And if we decrease our saturated fats, use more vegetable oils, things like that, eating more fish as well, that helps. It's got omega-3s. Anyway, all of that is going to help decrease your systemic inflammation, and it's going to actually, help keep your arteries clean, things like that. So here in San Antonio, we do also have a very high incidence of cardiovascular disease. People that have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease usually have more of this inflammation, and that can potentially develop different kinds of cancers. Of course, there's different things, there's genetics involved and things like that. But decreasing systemic inflammation is a very important thing. So cooking with canola oil is definitely
all right. Well, I'm glad there's a dietitian on board, because I'm a little rusty when it comes to nutrition. I try to focus on fresh, right? But okay, so take a quick look, right? The shiitakes, they're nicely are nice. There's a little bit of browning. They're nice, cooked down really nice and tender. I'm gonna just hit it with a little. All I did is add a little salt. I have a little wine that will just give us a nice flavor here. We'll kind of deglaze the pan a little bit, and we'll reduce that. Okay.
Chef Johnny, we have another question for you.
Okay.
Audience, if you're using jalapenos with the inner seeds, is it true that this makes the food hotter than without the seeds?
Oh, definitely. Yes. So if you leave the seeds in, that is, it's gonna make it a. But I tasted a little bit of that jalapeno, and it's so mild.
Oh.
I maybe should have brought that habanero pepper that I wanted. But it is a very mild jalapeno. Both of them. I bought these the red ones as well, and very mild. Okay, so the mushrooms are ready. I'm gonna pull them off. Okay, just like that. A very simple filling. Okay. I'm going to. See where you hit that switch. Right there. Perfect. That's my timer. So I'm gonna let these cool a little bit. While these are cooling, our mole is right here. All right. I covered it up. I want it to steam down. I want those tomatillos to cook down nicely. A little bit of color. We don't want too much color, but I do want everything to kind of completely cook down. All right, so our masa. Okay, so we have our pink masa here. It is, normally you can find red masa. I couldn't find the red. Central Mexico grows blue, black, red, green, yellow, white. And I couldn't find any in time for this presentation. So we're having fun, and we added a little bit of Jamaica to it. If you've had Jamaica, it's like a hibiscus. I mean, it actually looks really, really nice. But the red corn doesn't quite cook that pink. So if you do not know our restaurants, we nixtamalize all our corn. So if you're at any of our restaurants, we cook all our corn products from a rehydrated natural corn, not corn flour. So all our tortillas. If you ever had our chips at the restaurants, if you enjoy the texture and the flavor of those chips, that is because we make everything from stone ground corn every morning. All right.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
Our masa is about an ounce, more or less, maybe an ounce and a half. And this is just a little handy press here. It takes a little bit of practice, because sometimes if you press
used
it
to have
too
one
much,
of those.
if you press it too much, you want to, you know, you want some thickness, but not too thick, okay? If it's too thick, it's gonna be doughy, okay? All right, so this is cooking down nicely. So take a quick look in there. All right, you got a little bit of browning, not a whole lot. I can smell the heat
Chef,
of those seeds now. Yes?
Chef, we had a question about the wine a few steps back. What kind of wine did you use? I know it was.
Oh, you know, it is probably, you know, it's a little like a Sauvignon Blanc
Okay.
that we serve here at the restaurant. So it's a very light. It's not nothing too heavy. You know, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I like the flavor that the wine gives to the mushrooms. But if you don't have wine, I mean, you could use, you know, a little bit of sherry, or, you know, deglaze it with a little bit of chicken stock or something. I mean, you don't, or you can just skip it completely. But the wine does give it a nice flavor. You know, they're at the restaurant. We incorporate, we make quesadillas out of chicken. We then make them out of beef, out of roasted vegetables. So it's just a quesadilla is one of those fun things that you can just make with any kind of filling, right?
Yeah, right.
Today's sauce is a little different for a quesadilla, right? I mean, I guess I wanted to do something that we've been featuring at the restaurant. And I always love to, you know, share some of our new recipes and new things that we're doing in our restaurant. So, and I know that in the US, it's not so common to use mole as a sauce, or, you know, for anything for that matter. I mean, not a sauce, as a salsa, right? So we're using mole today as a salsa. All right, so let's keep an eye on our mole. You see how everything is cooking down. The tomatillos are beginning to break down. So now here comes a very important step. If you're making this at home, we're gonna add the sesame seeds, okay? So again, look, everything is cooked down completely, right? There's nothing raw in here at all. The tomatillos have begun to collapse. The peppers are really cooked down and soft. There's some caramelization. And then I'm gonna add the sesame seeds, because I wanna toast them a little bit in the pan, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna add just a few pine nuts and a little extra pistachios.
Doing all of that is another really good way to increase your healthy fats. So if you add, if you add nuts and seeds and things like that, flax and things like that to your diet, that's a really great way of increasing your omega-6.
Nice.
That's another good way.
The pineapple, the little bowl of pineapple. I need to add the pineapple, and I left it on the table out there.
Well, while we're waiting, I have another question from you from the audience. Being diabetic, I was told to go for the blue corn tortillas, but wonder which others would be good as well.
Really?
Chef Johnny?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, that's a kind of a dietitian question, because
all right, we'll hand it to Marien.
I know they taste very similar, all of them. I know that sometimes yellow corn has a slightly more intense flavor than, let's just say, blue corn. Blue corn's a little sweeter. White corn is a little sweeter. So, but as far as nutritional value, I'll pass it on to the expert.
So in terms of tortillas, I'm not sure where we heard that it had to be the blue tortillas. Really, it's corn tortillas or corn tortillas, so that is fine. So any corn tortilla is okay. Of course, you know, corn tortillas are much better to use than flour tortillas, especially, of course, you know, if we're watching our carb intake as we are, you know, if for our diabetic patients. So that's extremely important. One other thing that I always like to recommend is, you know, we love to, sometimes tortillas are delicious, right? So sometimes we eat the tacos with 2 tortillas, or we don't put a lot in one taco, and so, or in one quesadilla. And so, you know, we end up eating a lot more tortillas than we normally would. So one little trick that I always say is, if you're diabetic, or you're trying to watch your carbs for whatever reason, or you are trying to watch your intake, one thing that you can do is get your tortilla and fill it up a lot more than you normally would. Don't use 2. Instead, just use your 1 tortilla, fill it up as much as you can. And then that way you end up having less tortillas and more substance. So sometimes we don't think about that. So get your corn tortillas and try and fill up your tacos and your quesadillas as much as you can. Because I'm from Mexico myself, so I know that, you know, we love to sometimes do it with the 2 tortillas on the bottom, or then we don't really, you know, we just love doing it that way. So try and minimize your intake of the tortillas, fill up a little more with what's in them. But really corn tortillas are corn tortillas, so you can have whichever one is okay.
Well, I know we eat a lot of flour tortillas here in San Antonio, so yeah. I know we're trying to do our part.
Yes.
And we're promoting corn.
Yes, absolutely. It increases your blood glucose a lot less. And the other thing that it does is it's called glycemic index. So not to get into the science of it so much, but what that is you want to eat foods that are of low glycemic index. That means that they are higher in other nutrients, in other nutritious value. So you've got vitamins and minerals, and you've got fiber. Fiber is a huge one. So increasing your fiber intake is extremely important. So corn tortillas have a lot more fiber, and they increase your blood glucose a lot less.
Awesome. Well, we like to sell tortillas de maíz. Here you have your pink tortilla, ¿verdad? And the mushroom filling kind of in the center. And then we just close that. Again, pressing them takes a little bit of practice, okay? So if you mess it up, roll it up into a ball, press it again, okay? So don't be afraid to mess it up, all right? So it's just a quick, easy seal. The thinner, you know, I would think if you're using fresh nixtamal, you know, it's delicious. But if you're using like a bag corn flour, then I'm going to say make it as thin as possible, because it doesn't have a lot. Corn flour out of a bag really does not have near the flavor, probably, or the nutritional value, you know, that a nixtamalized corn product has. So there you have, right? It looks like an empanada, but this is a Mexican quesadilla, okay? I'm going to drop that in there. The oil's been getting nice and hot, so it's going to crisp up nicely. Yep, it's, wow, they look a little pink, but that's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point today.
We have another question that's come in. I guess it's another one between Chef Johnny and Marien.
Yes, for sure. And take a look at the ingredients of the mole real quick, because I'm going to puree them. All right, so everything is completely cooked down, right? The pineapple, the nuts are lightly toasted, okay? The nuts got lightly, because sometimes if you have a recipe for a mole, they ask you to toast the nuts separately, toast the seeds separately. I put it all in the pan to get it, you know, get it done a little quicker, because we don't have a ton of time. But all of this is going to get blended. But I know you have a question, so let me while they're chiming in, I'm gonna get ready to puree this. But
so the question is, we have someone who likes to eat very spicy salsa. She's going through chemo right now, and is having issues with acid reflux. Any suggestions on making tangy salsas that would give the flavor but hold back on the heat a bit?
You want the flavor but less heat, less spice.
Yes, less spice. That's she's going through chemo right now, and it's giving her issues with acid reflux.
You know, flavor to me is developed through the roasting of the ingredients, and you know, in other words, I think that's where a lot of just like as an example, when we made this sauce, the roasting of the pan roasting of the chilies and the spices, or the tomatillos and the peppers, to me, that's where flavor begins. Right, with the proper technique of roasting, or pan roasting, or roasting in the oven. You know, as far as the sensation of the heat, you know, I've experimented with wasabi. You know, for like a raw salsa, you could use fresh wasabi. I don't know if that has the same reflex, or I'm not sure what is it that's, you know, not settling so well, but But in terms
Oh,
of
probably the heat in the pepper, I think, is what I'm understanding.
I don't know if it's capsaicin. I mean, that's the ingredient that I'm familiar with. So, okay. So we have all our roasted chiles here, okay? I'm gonna add a little bit of, in the recipe, it says agave nectar. Okay, so we make our own agave here out of piloncillo so ours is a little darker. And there's a few dates for sweetness. We're adding a few. These have no pits, okay? Make sure there's no pits. And we're gonna blend this. And I have a little bit of Jamaica. It's hard to show you, but these are almost ready. You see the quesadillas, okay? They're just, I'm gonna turn them over, give them one more second, and then I'll pull them out in just 1 minute. And I'm going to add just a little bit of water. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna need a little bit of water to puree the mole. You want it nice and thick, okay? So you don't want to add too much water. Let me take these out. Stephen, will you give me the Jamaica that's in front of the cutting board there? Let me get a napkin just to put them on a little towel. So here's our quesadilla. I've never made a pink quesadilla. First time for everything.
I can see the pink.
So kind of fun, I guess. Thank you for challenging me with that. Because we're like, what are we gonna do? All right, so let's see. Here's our mole. I have a little bit of water. All right. I'm afraid to paint this pink, okay, guys?
So I noticed you use water, Chef Johnny. You wouldn't use chicken broth, I guess?
You could. I mean, I just added a little bit of water, you know, to really add just a little bit of moisture to it. The nuts in there, you know, really make it thick. Okay, so let me just check the, I'm gonna check the salt on this. I'm going to, I do have a way to paint it pink, but I'm afraid to. I wasn't sure if pink tortillas was enough pink for y'all.
Pink is good. Pink is good. Would love to know your idea of making this.
Well, we're gonna take a look. Okay, so it just needs a little salt. Oh, that jalapeno did give it a. I'm gonna just add a little salt, okay?
Okay.
I have a Jamaica. You know, so this is hibiscus, and I'm gonna use it for our cocktail. And so the idea was to mix in a little bit of. It turns it. It's just because it's. I don't know my colors.
Purple is
you know,
in the family of pink.
Is it okay? Because it looks like it's going to turn it purple. Jamaica gives it a different acidity. It gives it a. If you've had Jamaica, Jamaica is you know, it's a blossom, but it gives it a really it has an acidity, a very floral kind of acidity kind of flavor. All right, so but we do have plenty of pink represented here. I promise you. I brought some pickled cabbage.
Oh, there you go. And one of our participants said the color of the quesadilla is perfectly pink to represent breast cancer awareness. So thank you, Chef Johnny.
So this mole is delicious, actually. The pineapple, the jalapenos, the pistachio. Oh, they're so good. I haven't had the in a while. I've been traveling and then I was busy. But these will look fun with the mole there underneath. Then I have a little bit of, this is just pickled cabbage with a little, we cook this down with a little bit of lime juice. We put a little bit on top just to finish it for you all.
Cabbage is another important food. It's in the family, so the cruciferous vegetables in general, those have some aspects that will also help in cancer prevention as well. So
really, all right. See?
Yes.
And I want to add just, you know what? I'll put a little bit here in the middle, so you can't say we didn't have a proper sauce that's in tune with tonight's presentation. So there you have. See how simple that was? So that is the mole, right? Our pineapple pistachio mole, and then obviously our beautiful pink quesadillas with a little bit of pickled cabbage. But that mole went really fast, okay? That is not normal. Typically, you're roasting the vegetables, or you're roasting your chilies, you're roasting your nuts and spices. But we, you know, we've wanted to. I've made this recipe a couple times for the restaurant, and you know, we've kind of consolidated some of those steps. But that's our quesadilla, and I don't know if you have any questions. I know there's a cocktail that I'm also making for you all. That is a crushed pineapple, Jamaica lime. It's called a Machaca De Fruta from Veracruz, or at least that's where I've had it first, and a little bit of mint. So I know we're making that next for you.
Well, wonderful. We do have one question, and then I guess we'll have a little bit of a, Marien and I will stay on and talk about some nutritional foods if you have been diagnosed with any kind of cancer. So we'll talk about that while Chef Johnny's getting prepared over there. But Chef Johnny, for you, what are some to-go type foods that you sell in your restaurants that are healthy? The first thing I thought of with a lot of your fish dishes, your
right.
The word has left me. I know you have a tuna kind of a ceviche, your different ceviches.
Right, yeah, the botanero, yes. We have the ceviches are really, I think, saludable, right? We have some pescadas, you know, that are also, I think, healthy. In other words, they're made with roasted vegetables and blue corn or fresh maize. You know, if you're at La Gloria, you know, some of our tostadas, I think, are probably you know, we have ceviches obviously there as well, but maybe some of our tostadas. Burgerteca is kind of tough one because the bread, you know, is a little heavy, but we do bake it fresh. You know, it doesn't have any preservatives.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's not coming
do
out of
you do anything bunless? Do you do any of those bunless maybe?
Yeah, we have customers that come in and they want it with no bun, so we'll put it in like lettuce leaves for them. And we do have the best vegetarian burger in the city. Okay.
Oh, good to know.
With, that's what my vegetarian friends say. They're the best.
Awesome.
Not coming from me, but anyway, it has roasted beets. It has some of our, you know, shaved corn, roasted poblanos. It has barley. You know, it has black beans, shredded lettuce, and tomato, and avocado. It's tasty. I actually have it all the time.
Good. So, another quick question, and then we'll switch over and let you go. I'm looking at the time, but what is your opinion of cooking in cast iron? Is it better for you, or does it just?
Well, I mean,
makes things very hot.
I mean, right? I love cooking on cast iron. I have 3 beautiful cast iron pans at home from 3 different manufacturers. But I mean, to me, I love the searing of it and just the weight of it and how it recovers from, you know, I like how it cooks. But in terms of, I don't know if there's any other nutritional, I've always heard that, you know, there's some, I've always heard that copper, or, you know, we have zinc in some of our zinc metals in some of our pans. And I always hear the, you know, what properties those have on, to the finished product, but I really don't know. Maybe that's a great question for the lab at the school, at the Culinary School of America.
Perhaps it is. So I'm going to let you guys move over to the bar. Attendees, stay with us. Marien and I will have our own little conversation until they come back on in about 5 minutes. I think Chef Johnny, you're going to move over to the bar area. Or
yep, I'm going to move over to the table here and whip up a cocktail for y'all.
Okay, well, we'll see you back in about 5 minutes, and Marien and I will stay on and continue to talk. All right, Marien. Wanted to ask you a little bit about just some of the things if you have been diagnosed with cancer, some foods, some nutritional values to foods that would help that person, or that they can eat while they're undergoing treatment. I know one of our participants says she's having difficulty with acid reflux, so would love to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. So with cancer, of course, we have two different aspects that we want to talk about. So one of them is, what foods can we have that have, the adequate nutritional value, and when, the value that we want, that is healthy. And then we also, want to think about intake, right? Which is something that sometimes that's more, of course, whenever you're already diagnosed with cancer versus, if you're something that you're trying to prevent. But with a lot of the cancer patients, and as we saw with one of our participants that had a question, one thing that happens is with chemotherapy, unfortunately, sometimes we lose a lot of our appetite. So the appetite can be changes in your taste. And then, it's very common to develop things like sores in your mouth. And it's very common for those, you can get them down through your esophagus as well. And you can even get, increased acid reflux and things like that. So on the one hand, we definitely want to make sure that we're getting the foods that have adequate nutritional value. And one of the things that we talk about a lot with cancer patients is, we want to increase our antioxidant intake. And so what foods have antioxidants is basically, your fruits and your vegetables. So those are full of antioxidants, and antioxidants, not like not to get into the complicated science of it, but those are very important in protecting our cells. And of course, cancer is a disease that comes from the uncontrolled multiplication, the uncontrolled division of, these cells that it gets uncontrolled. And one of the important things is to maintain the DNA intact. And so that way that will keep the cell cycle in a healthy manner is basically what we want. And so antioxidants are very important for that. So increasing that. The other thing is increasing things like vitamin E. I think somebody said here something about vitamin C. Yeah. So vitamin C, even right now with COVID is very important. So vitamin C is a very good antioxidant as well. You can take it as a supplement too. So that's another way, you can definitely take your supplements. I'm always more in the favor of trying to eat your fruits and vegetables versus taking the supplementation forms. The only thing with the supplementation forms is that none of them are FDA approved, and the FDA doesn't go, it doesn't look at these supplements. So I take vitamin C myself. I always have my whole life. There are some studies on that, but trying to eat it as much as we can. So citrus fruits, those are great sources of vitamin C. And then berries, so, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, all of those are great for antioxidants as well. And then as Chef Johnny was putting in there, sometimes, it is in fruits and vegetables, but sometimes something that we don't think about is in the nuts, right? So your nuts, your seeds, those are great as well. Walnuts are a great source of omega-3. So the healthy fats that we want to have are also very important. And the thing with the antioxidants is it's not only helping our cell cycle, but it goes back to what I was talking about previously about your systemic inflammation. So we want to decrease systemic inflammation. The more inflammation that we have, the more your cells are dividing, and you're getting that cell turnover because it's trying to fix the issue wherever that issue is. So if you can imagine, if you get a cut, right? You get a little bit of inflammation there. Of course, your cells are regenerating and things like that. But if you have too much cell turnover to where you are having to create too many new cells, there is so much that goes into the creation of that any small little problem in the genetics, any issue that can happen there can cause then that uncontrolled multiplication of cells. So if you have systemic inflammation, you increase your chances of that happening a lot more, right? Somebody was saying, what do I think of Emergen-C? I like Emergen-C. It's not the strongest version of vitamin C that there is, but it is something that it tastes good. And you can take it. A lot of people don't like to take the pills. The chewables are the ones that I usually go for. They taste citrusy, so I like those. Yeah, so taking, I usually, they do usually recommend about, 1 gram or 1.5 grams. You can take about, you can also take 2 grams. The thing with vitamin C is if you take too much of it, really all that's going to happen is you are, the way
Flushes
that
out of your system, or
it was explained to me during school, they will just say, well, you will have very expensive pee. So you can take it. But it is important. I was saying, your nuts and seeds, those are a really, really important one. Increasing fish intake as opposed to having things that have more saturated fat. You want your healthy fats as well. Saturated fat is really bad, not just in terms of cancer and things like that, but there's so much cardiovascular disease in San Antonio, and people that have cardiovascular disease and vascular issues, that just increases that systemic inflammation as well. So really when we're talking about cancer is that, and very importantly with cancer is we want to decrease sugar intake. So that's a very important one.
So we have a question here, and I'm actually providing my email, but what are some healthy recipes for kidney transplant, breast cancer, and more? So Marien, I'm going to provide my email, and maybe we can provide this person some ideas. If you have some to share, that we can share them. If there's more interest from the group on those recipes, perhaps we can provide a link to those when we send our follow-up emails. So we'll find out here. Just chat me or drop it in the chat if you'd be interested in some healthy recipes from our nutritionist that we can share with you.
Yeah, so I can definitely find some of those things. Whenever it comes to renal function, it is a little bit of a case-by-case basis. It depends on, how bad or how good is your renal function, and how do your electrolytes look. So that's an important one. So in terms of the electrolytes, really the 2 important ones that we look at whenever we are looking at patients that have had renal transplants and things like that is, how does your potassium look? And then how does your phosphorus look? So there's a lot of foods that have potassium and phosphorus. So depending on how well or not your body is being able to clear them, then that would depend on the amount or not that you want to be careful in your recipes. So that actually with kidney issues, it is something that is a very case-by-case basis. And that's why it's so important, right, to follow up with your nephrologist and get your labs and see how you're doing in that sense. But I can definitely provide some healthy recipes that are important if you're trying to, if you have some renal issues and things like that. I did want to stress, and one of the other things though, before we switch over to Chef Johnny, is the intake part is the other important thing. So sometimes, it is important to have, our vitamins and minerals and things like that, which are all going to help hopefully prevent, certain sorts of cancer. Of course, there's so much involved in the development of cancer that we can't just say that it's nutrition alone, but nutrition is something that can absolutely help a lot. But intake, we want to make sure that if we are already diagnosed with cancer, right, we want to make sure that we don't then get malnourished, because that is something that is extremely common. So finding foods that are a little bit more soothing, finding foods that are sometimes drinking liquids and things like that. So maybe making smoothies is something that is extremely, it's a very good idea. There's different things that we can put in our smoothies, different vegetables that we can hide in our smoothies. If we don't like vegetables, we can hide them in there and it doesn't even taste like that. So increasing protein intake is something else that's incredibly important, just health-wise overall. And sometimes keeping things cold and things like that can help with those sores that are developed. And decreasing caffeine intake and the intake of things that are very spicy for one, and very acidic for another one if you're having those issues with reflux.
Thank you, Marien. Appreciate it. All right, Chef Johnny is on mute, so we need to unmute him so we can hear him. Hi, Chef Johnny, can you hear us?
Hello, yes, loud and clear. This technology here, man, this headset I have here. So
well, wonderful.
Handy for a lot of these cooking demos.
Yes, well, we're ready when you are. We'd love to hear what you're making for us.
Yes, so we put together a quick beverage. We wanted to obviously do something healthy. And I'm looking for, so I don't know if you've traveled to Central Mexico, this dish actually, or this beverage, I've had it for the first time in Veracruz. And it's Machaca De Fruta, right? So basically crushed fruit. The one thing that I will tell you about fruit, especially when a lot of times when we bring ideas, to our restaurants, fruit is one of those things that is challenging. because in Mexico, you know, fruit is so ripe and it's sweet and it has a lot of, you know, it's picked at the appropriate time, right? And Mexico, by design, they pick things seasonally and they consume food seasonally. And it's something here in America that we got away from for a long time. And over there, it's just part of culture. That's part of everyday living. You go buy your fruit, it's in season. If you buy a pineapple, it's sweet. If you buy an apple or a plum or whatever those natural native fruits are, they're all sweet. So, you know, in Veracruz, there's a lot of pineapple. And so when I go to Veracruz, I always have my, you know, machacado or Machaca De Fruta. And in the plazas, you know, they'll mash pineapples with, you know, different types of fruit. They garnish it a bunch of different ways. And this particular one, I'm making it with a little bit of fresh mint. I'm gonna squeeze some lime. I have a little bit of hibiscus. We're gonna rim it with a little more hibiscus. So there's plenty of pink in the presentation for today's presentation. So, but this pineapple is, the one I'm using is very ripe. You can smell the sweetness of this pineapple. And again, it's tough. So picking your fruit at the grocery store, you know, you have to really pay attention because fruit, unfortunately, in the U.S. isn't always picked when it's ripe. So it doesn't, you know, it doesn't. Some of these recipes that we use, you know, some of them, you know, some of the other dishes that we make in our restaurants, we always have to improvise because the sweetness is not there. So all I have is some fresh diced pineapple, and we're going to put a little bit of lime juice in here. I have, so I'll just do the juice of one lime. I know this is a recipe we're going to, I think, put up tomorrow. So I'm,
Yes.
Oh, got me in my eye.
Uh-oh.
Be careful. Oh my gosh.
Does it, I bet it burns.
Yeah, it does.
Do you need to run and get a little bit of water?
No, I'll get through this. So a little bit more lime.
You're wounded. I'll get through it.
I'm wounded. That's going away. Okay, so we'll add a little bit of a sprig of fresh mint or two. Mint just really adds a little bit of complexity to it, another layer of flavor. You know, I think that our dietitian who's giving us advice will always, you know, I've worked on healthy recipes forever for different projects and stuff, but, you know, eating healthy requires, you know, I think what supports eating healthy is, you know, using seasonal ingredients, but also not being afraid to layer things, textures. You know, like in this one, I mean, I added some fresh mint and I added a little bit of acidity in the lime, and then you have the tropical fruit in the pineapple, right? So, you know, eating healthy has a lot to do with being smart about how you cook, how you prepare food. And, you know, much of the you know, of the world rely on, you know, I know at my culinary school, we did a lot of work in the past with different organizations to create healthy recipes, and a lot of it works because of our knowledge of ingredients, right, and knowledge of layering flavors. So always remember that. So we're gonna shake this up a little bit. But you know what? I need to put our jamaica, our hibiscus. Okay.
Oh, the color. Yes.
Yes, the color. Right. So put that back in here. And this is simple syrup. Okay, I put a couple, an ounce or so of simple syrup into our base, and I'm going to rim this with a little bit of more redness, right? A little bit of hibiscus, and then this particular beverage in Mexico, they serve it not only with a straw, but they serve it with a spoon, okay? Because
Oh, like a
of all the fruit, that it has. But this is a Machaca De Fruta, right? Which is very, very common in Veracruz, but it is just fresh pineapple, hibiscus, and they serve it to you with a spoon because it has so much fruit in it.
It's
But
beautiful.
I wish y'all could try it. But this is it. See how simple that was? Crushed pineapple, lemon, a little bit of lime or lemon, and then a couple sprigs of fresh mint, and then a little bit of simple syrup, a little bit of sweetness. But I'll let you know how it tastes. Well, the mint. Well, the mint really helps bring that over the top. And the hibiscus, the floral of the hibiscus, the acidity of the hibiscus is also beautiful. So
Do
there
you
you
do
have
this
it. I know
drink? Do you do this drink in one of your restaurants?
Well, we just invented it for y'all.
Oh my goodness! Well, wonderful. It's the Baptist Health System recipe. Wonderful.
We'll put it. I know. I'm actually taking good notes because I'm going to send you the recipes right now. I think.
Oh, that's good.
I know,
Thank
but
you.
this is a muddled. It's a muddled fruit beverage and very typical. You know, they make it with mangoes, pineapples. You know, actually watermelon. You know, papaya, tropical fruits, and kiwi, star fruit. This also would be great with a little bit of tequila. I'm just saying,
we're just
it
saying.
doesn't add a
I'm
lot.
just saying.
Doesn't add a
I'm
lot
not
of calories
opposed.
either, or does it?
Well, I wanted to let you know, Chef Johnny, so many of our participants have said special thank you to you for taking the time this evening to be with them. We actually, this is, you know, a lot of times people fall off during a virtual event. We've kept almost everybody. So they've been, they thoroughly have enjoyed it, have enjoyed the interaction. So Marien, thank you as well. Thank you both so much for your time. Wanted to tell you, we had another participant who said she loves your chopped salad at Burger Teca. So now I'm gonna have to go try that.
Man, I've eaten that a few times. I'm trying to maintain, you know, actually I'm trying to lose weight. I can't maintain it. But anyway, but yes, the chopped salad, I eat it without bacon because I love the bacon in there. And then I think I should take the chips off. But yes, we serve it with grilled chicken and it's delicious.
Well,
We
I'm
make a nice
sitting here
fresh
watching you and thinking
garlic cilantro
food.
dressing. Oh, it's
And
so
all
good.
the people behind you, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's all these runners and joggers and I'm feeling pretty guilty.
Yes. Yes.
But anyway,
thank you. It's been fun.
Yes, thank you. It's always fun. We appreciate you doing this. And I know you have a busy schedule. Again, I know you just got back from New York and you have so many adventures happening, and we wish you all the best. If anything, everything,
so much.
you know, we are.
Well, look, make sure you look for us. Yes, for all the upcoming Day of the Dead festivities. We're really excited about how that event has grown. So you'll see all the altars at our restaurants and our Catrinas. We have fun, you know, fun ways to incorporate, you know, family into the celebration. And of course, the highlight is definitely our parade. So I'm excited we started that work a while back, but today all the real building of all the barges and altars starts. Yes. So
it's a lot of work.
Thank you very much.
I know.
Yes,
so we appreciate, again, I know how busy you are, especially right now. So appreciate your time. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate that you stuck with us this whole time. Marien, thank you for your guidance and expertise. And
yes, absolutely. And if anybody has can think of any questions or anything like that, you have my email. So definitely.
Yes, I have provided the email address, mine, and then I'll forward it to you.
Perfect. And if anybody is interested in other things in nutrition, if you go to eatright.org, that is the nutrition page of the Academy. And they have incredible things there as well for breast cancer and just, you know, for healthy eating in general. There's also a tab there that you can find dietitians and whatever, you know, there's dietitians. So I specialize in nutrition for the intensive care unit. So you would find me on there under critical care, but you can find definitely, you know, dietitians that are specialized in oncology. So there is actually a specialization in that. So you can definitely go on there and find that too. So I definitely encourage everybody to go ahead and do that.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I know we had somebody ask about that, and I was going to connect them to our oncology nurse navigator for some healthy recipes there too. So Chef Johnny, thank you for helping us shed some light during the month of breast cancer awareness. We appreciate that. It's very valuable to us. It means a lot to us and to our participants. So thank you. Thanks
Very well.
for joining. You'll be getting an email after this event tomorrow. And then in a couple of weeks, you'll receive another email that will have this video taped, this recording, I should say, along with the recipes again. So Chef Johnny, we don't need them tomorrow. You have a little bit more time. I know how busy you are. So I'll let Lou know. Yes, absolutely. So in another week or so, we can get that drink recipe and then we'll add it and send it out to everybody here. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a good night and keep looking out for more of these. We hope to do another one, hopefully with Chef Johnny, possibly next year, the beginning of the year. So thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.